Hi, I'm Kate Pelkey, and I am the shepherdess and proprietor of Otter Lake Farm and Fiber. We're located in Cato, New York. We're at the southern end, or the wetland end, of Otter Lake. Here on our farm, we raise Gotland sheep. They are a long wool, and they were introduced into the United States in 2003. They're originally from the island of Gotland in Sweden, and so we've been participating in an upbreeding program to breed the semen from rams with the ewes of different types of long wool breeds, and then upbreed into pretty much like a 98 to 99% Gotland sheep. Some people are actually bringing in embryos that are 100%. So they are an absolutely beautiful sheep. They are actually triple purpose. They are not only great for their fiber, for spinning and yarn. They are also a meat breed, and they have a very fine, close-grained meat. They are also a wonderful pelt breed. We've not done any pelts with our sheep as of yet. We may in the future, but right now we raise them predominantly for fiber, and we also do USDA retail sales of their lamb meat. We also raise CVM Gotland, or excuse me, Rommeldale CVM on our farm. Rommeldale were introduced into, they were actually developed here in the United States in the 1920s. There were some New Zealand Romney Marsh rams that were brought over for I think it was a World Fair or a fair down in Panama. And a gentleman bought all of them, and he bred them to his Rambouillet ewes. So it increased, it really created a dual purpose breed, which was meat and still a wonderful fiber. So we have the CVM Rommeldale that are the badger face. They have a dark face, they have a dark underbelly, dark legs, and they're lighter on top. But interestingly, they can also throw natural colored rams. And although my little ram lamb is not out, he's in a stall in the barn, we do have a little natural Morit colored Rommeldale CVM ram, and he is absolutely beautiful. So I'm excited next year to be able to share his fiber with you. So we're a very small farm. We have 3.5 acres, actually 4.5 acres, 3.5 which are tillable, meaning we can graze the sheep on it. So we can only carry about 15 to 20 a year, and we use very intensive rotational grazing to get the most out of our land. We don't have the perfect setup. Interestingly, I started spinning back in 2006, and once I started spinning, set my sights on having a fiber farm. I grew up out in the country, just around the corner from where I live now, and just as fate would have it, it took me 11 years to make my dream come true. But we don't have a barn. We've converted a garage into our barn, and it's worked out really well. And what I like about maybe some of the imperfections of our farm is the fact that there's so many people, I think, that limit themselves because they think they don't have an opportunity. But if you look at the needs of a sheep, you can actually create an opportunity where you think none might exist. And that's exactly what we've done out on our farm. And so what I'd like to do now is take you inside to my studio. I'd like to share with you some of the fibers. I have some samples of the fiber that I've spun up from our flock, and knit some swatches, and then I'd like to show you some of the fiber that is available for purchase if you're interested. I'll meet you inside. Okay, so this is my studio, little store. It's very small. But I'd like to share with you some of the fiber products that we have available. First, I want to share my Gotland. This is from my gals Sadie and Annie, and this is a roving, so the fibers are not well aligned. It's going to produce a fairly well, I don't want to even say lofty. It's going to be a little bit more lofty because they're not aligned, but I spin more of a worsted, and it actually is a little smooth, but it is going to create a halo effect, much like mohair. And this is just a sampling of the yarn that I made with it. And this is our charcoal black, and I spun this charcoal black Gotland on my Lendrum with a 10-to-1 ratio, and it had a 32 wrap per inch for the single, so it's pretty fine. And then this is the swatch that I created, and Gotland, for most people, is next to the skin soft. I always test it on my arm, but really the good test is whether or not you can wear it next to your neck. It can be a little scratchy, but this you can wear against your arms, your feet, you know, any other probably area of the body, but I tend to be a little sensitive around my neck, which I think a lot of people are. So we have 4-ounce bags of this roving available for $17.50, or excuse me, I just misspoke. It's $19.50 a bag. So you get a bag this size. It gives you a little photo of the lambs and the sheep. The other Gotland that we have, and I'm sorry I don't have a sample of the roving because I gave it all away to a friend yesterday. She does needle felting, so she needed the gray. So here's a sample of the yarn that I spun up. This was also on my Lendrum at a 10-to-1 ratio, but this one was 24 wraps per inch for the single. So it's a little bit thicker than the black, and this one tends to have a little bit nicer sheen. You can see from the sample, if you put the two together, I think the gray has a little bit, the lighter gray has a little bit of more of a lustrous sheen. The other products that we have, which are the CVM Rommeldale, so this is from our Ram, Robert Frost. He's actually a black, dark gray, but he has a lot of white spots. He's just beautiful. And I just spun this yarn last night, so I don't have any samples of it. And this I spun, again, 10-to-1 ratio, and this was, I believe, 36 reps per inch for the single, so it's very, very fine. But this is kind of surprising because I'm going to, you know, soak this and set the stitch in water later on today, and it will actually bloom a little bit. So it's a little bit thinner now, but it's actually going to get loftier after I, you know, soak it in water. So this is a blend of our CVM Rommeldale alpaca. I'm not sure the percentage. Zeilingers did this for me, and they did have a little alpaca just to make it a little bit softer. And this is a sample of our yarn, and on all my samples I did a 10-to-1 ratio. I typically do much smaller, but I'm finding that sometimes I spin a little too fine, and I really wanted something that was more of a fingering to a sport weight. And then this is just a sample that I knit up of that Rommeldale. This is from not Robert Frost, Brewster. And his fiber is absolutely just stunningly soft and beautiful. I regret that I had him weathered, but when I got into sheep, I did not want to ram, and I asked for the breeder to weather him. But this is my absolute favorite, stunningly beautiful CVM. So anyway, so I do have, like I said, bags. This is the CVM with the alpaca. All my CVM, and it's comb top, so all the fibers are aligned. It's going to produce a very smooth yarn if you do a worsted spin as opposed to a woolen. But you could get a little bit more loft if you do a woolen spin. All my CVM Rommeldale yarn is 4-ounce bags, and they are $17.50 a bag. The Gotland is $19.50 a bag. And then I also have 3-ounce braids. This is from my girls Peggy and Pippin. The 3-ounce bags are $13.50, and then I have 3-ounce bags of these chains, and this is from Brewster. And you can see, interestingly, the color difference. This is from this year's shearing, and this is from last year's shearing. This is a little bit finer, and it's surprising because Rommeldale CVM typically get darker with age. So that to me was pretty interesting. So beyond the fiber, and in a few minutes I'm going to take you over and show you the yarn, but beyond the fiber, on our farm we also make all of our handcrafted lotions and soaps, and I developed those because I have really sensitive skin, and after trying a lot of really expensive products on the market that just didn't work well, I had a lot of adverse reactions, I decided to start making my own products, and surprisingly they worked really, really well. And what started as something just to help me became a small business quite by accident. So I'm very proud of those because I worked very hard at developing them over the years, and I've had a lot of people tell me that they've seen dramatic improvements in the way their skin is reacting to a cleanser, and that's because it's a natural soap product. and I use very high quality soaps like shea butter and extra virgin olive oil, hemp seed oil, and a variety of others. So you can see that's all behind me right here. So I'm going to cut out for a moment, and we're going to just now take you over to the yarns. Okay, so we also have some yarn available on our farm. This is alpaca, and it's blended some with mohair and some with merino. And this is not fiber from my farm. A friend of mine was an alpaca farmer, and when she was about 65, she decided to retire. And she contacted me because she knew I was a fiber artist, and she was not a fiber artist. She was involved in selling the animals, and she had some of it made into roving, but marketing the fiber was not her forte. So when she decided to retire, she reached out to me and offered for me to buy her fleeces and some of the roving she had made up, which I agreed to do. So the fleeces that I purchased, I had sent down to a mill in Prattsburg, Autumn Mist Alpaca, and they made and blended this fiber for me. So this is a lace weight yarn from the alpaca that has a blend of mohair and merino. They're 200 yards, and I'm asking $11 for these. This is an alpaca blend, and you're going to have to forgive me that I need to read the little tag, but this is a medium brown, and this is blended with merino and mohair, and this is a 3-ply sport weight, and again, this is $12. And what I wanted to show you is my scarf. This is a 3-ply alpaca blend, and Autumn Mist took basically all the leftovers that they had, and they made it into 3 skeins of yarn, so it's the same weight as this. And I found this beautiful pattern, and I knit this little shawl, or like it's more of a scarf, but it kind of doubles as a shawl. So this yarn would be perfect to recreate this. And if anybody is interested in purchasing this yarn, I would be happy to share the link where you can get this pattern. And then over here, I have like an oatmeal color alpaca. And this is a fingering weight, and it is blended with 5% merino, so it's 95% alpaca. And then these other two, these are just the lace weight. Again, I have a lot of lace weight yarn. The other thing I wanted to share is we do have roving in a fawn color, and these are they are ranging in ounces from like between almost 9 to 10 ounce bags, and I have a lot of the fawn. And then we have a few of the dark brown left. I don't have too many of these. These are the price is going to be dependent on the weight, and quite honestly, I have not figured that out yet. I do have to repackage all of these. So if you're interested in any of this, please visit my website. It's otterlakefiber.net, and everything is available for purchase on my website. If you have any questions, you can contact me through my website, or and that'll email me, or it has my phone number, and you are welcome to call me. What I'd love to is if you have any interest in coming out to my farm and seeing my farm store and feeling the product, I would love to have you out, and you can also meet the sheep where the fiber is from, and you can. I'm happy to give you a farm tour and explain to you how we run it, and help anybody who's interested in creating a farm who maybe doesn't have all the acreage they think they need. I'd love to share with you our story and the things that we've done in order to make a small farm work with the limited acreage that we have. So thank you so much for stopping in and joining us for this Fiber Festival, the virtual Fiber Festival. And I want to thank all the members of Local Fiber that were instrumental in putting together this Fiber Festival. It's very much appreciated, and I really appreciate you taking the time today to sit and listen to my story and ask questions after the video is over with. Thank you, and have a great day.